It's Corner House Chronicles Day.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
100.
100.
100.
100!
Welcome back, folks. This is the Corner House Chronicles. You guessed it by that little brief intro. We made it to episode 100. I'm John.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Aaron.
Got a full table tonight. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
Glad you could make it.
Glad to be here.
Kind of a special occasion.
It is. Never thought we'd hit the triple digits.
Neither did I.
No, especially this quick. Under 2 years. I was going through the math earlier. I'm like, it don't make sense. But it does. We were doing 2 a week for a while. Our schedule's been, kind of shifty. So I was looking back through some of the show titles the other day. Have you looked through those at all?
Not recently.
No. We've had some weird titles to our shows.
Some interesting ones. I think we had a repeater in there once or twice.
We had a couple of part twos. Got a little lazy. Let's just call this one That Part 2. We had 15B.
Yeah.
And then 15A way later.
But it's out there.
Yeah, we got it to you. And now here we are at 100. Holy shit. We've been going back and forth with each other about how we were going to celebrate this occasion. We had a couple of different ideas, a couple of suggestions, this, that, and the other thing. And in the end, we decided because of scheduling, and it was what today is, we should probably talk about that.
Seemed like the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
So we're recording on September 11th.
It's been 18 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's weird. Seems like a large number, and it doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
No, it doesn't.
No.
What blew my mind is I have a friend that's doing the student teaching now. He's a student teaching high school American government and civics and things like that. So today they watched a documentary on 9/11 about the whole, everything that happened, the towers, the aftermath, what led to it, all that. And then he posted on Facebook, he goes, it was amazing seeing the kids' eyes, knowing that up until this point, they really didn't have any knowledge of it because they weren't alive.
That is true. And it's not really something that, is it in curriculums, like to be taught?
I don't go past 5th grade, man.
That's fair.
I can't imagine it's spent too much time on.
You would think that's an event that they should know about.
Absolutely. They should, but with the internet, I have to imagine these kids, but not young kids, but...
Right, but thinking about high schoolers, that what they know about it is from YouTube.
True.
Which is dangerous.
Yeah, that's
Right.
an interesting place to go in for information about 9/11.
Yeah.
I should have asked him how many conspiracy theories he had to debunk or talk about.
Those were, I'm going to ask the typical question. Do you remember where you were? Like, can you remember that moment?
Yep.
That morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I don't probably never forget just because of how old we were when it happened.
Yeah.
We weren't too young. We definitely weren't crazy old, obviously.
Yeah.
So
I was still in high school.
were you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was in economics class. I was asleep because it was early in the morning. And it was kind of a blow-off class, not going to lie. We had a gym teacher teaching it.
Oh, yeah, so shit. Attendance was your only concern.
His wife worked across the hall, so he spent most of his class over there hanging out with his wife. But I woke up to him busting open the door and saying, "This isn't a movie," and he turned on the TV as the second plane came in.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to wake up to.
Funny enough, I woke up just in time to see the second plane also.
Oh, really?
Yes. I
Well-
had a half a day at work, and at the time was living at home. You were at school, and yeah, I got up and Dad was watching it. He's like, "You're gonna want to watch this." Shocking.
You
Just-
kind of
yeah.
freeze for a minute, like, no.
Right.
Wait, he said it wasn't a movie?
Well, this might strike you as odd, but I, too, was just waking up when the second plane hit. I shit you
Really?
not. I was on a hangover because I had turned 21 like 3 days before that. So those 3 days were spent at the bar, 21, boom. And I remember waking up and rolling over and looking at the TV, and the first building was already smoking. And I was like, Die Hard or something. I just thought a movie was on the TV. It's no big deal. And I rolled back over and I heard somebody in the living room say something, and it kind of woke me up. And I
this
looked
isn't
back
Nakatomi
over,
Plaza.
right, and the second plane hit, and I was like, what the hell? And I go walking out, and the whole family was glued to the TV. What did I miss? I blew it off and left the house that day and went on about my business for a good 6 hours before it, registered, and then spent 3 days in front of the TV.
Being at school,
Right.
that was the only topic in
Oh,
any
yeah.
class. They just turned on the news, and it was like repeating, like watching the towers fall was like it was shocking.
So with you being in school, just waking up, seeing that,
Yeah.
how soon did it take for your mind to jump to Red Dawn?
Pretty quick, not gonna lie. Which don't want to make light of the situation,
Right.
but I was like, if we are under attack and this is the way they're doing it, it's like, how am I gonna get home? Because I got to get home. Are they gonna let people we closing down shop for the day? This is kind of a big deal.
That was before the intense lockdowns of school.
Oh yeah.
Y-
The most you got.
You wanted to leave.
If
Sure,
there was a bomb threat, you went out to the football field,
Right.
and then you could slowly make your exit there if you were stealthy enough. But
Well, I tell you, those next few days on TV were insane.
Oh, yeah.
Just all the information as it slowly peeled away and made its way out to the public, and the scenes from New York.
Up until that point, I don't think anyone of us, our generation, could understand our parents explaining the shock and tragedy that they've, and just the sadness they felt when Kennedy was assassinated.
on live TV, both of them.
Yeah. And, because they talk about it and they're like, everyone knows where they were. Everyone. You know what you were doing. You know everything about it. You can just visualize that moment. And up until 9/11, you're like,
How?
okay, yeah, maybe, I
It
guess.
seems like an odd thing to say, but yeah. Then
But
afterwards, you're like, no, it's 18 years later, and I still remember
Yeah.
where I was sitting in the class, who was around me.
Yeah, it makes you think how long before something like that happens again, to where the next generation has that moment.
True.
That will stick with them forever, whatever it may be. I'm sure the moon landing was one of those moments.
The
Right.
beginning of World
You
War II.
want to go back 100
Yeah,
and some years. Titanic was probably one of those moments. Elvis dying was, you know what I mean? Like, nothing quite like 9/11, obviously,
No, but still impactful at the time.
yeah, that was.
I actually recently, last night, I read a little piece of information. I haven't researched it, but they said we're almost to the point where the victims who got sick after 9/11 from all the dust and
Right.
the body count is almost surpassed how many people died at the event. So more people have almost died from after effects,
The dust, the asbestos.
all that stuff.
Those were two very large buildings full of concrete and different things to
yeah.
come down like that too, for everybody. And it seemed like that cloud hung over the city for like a week.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was just like, where's the rain, or some high winds or something to blow some of this shit out of here. It just was.
When you're watching it as it happened, and the news crews are blocks and blocks and blocks away,
Right.
and then when the cloud was coming through the streets after the fucking tower fell, you're just like, holy shit.
It would have been something to be there,
Yeah, yeah.
Like I remember a few years after we went down to the cemetery for a 9/11 tribute thing, right? And it was on my birthday, which again is a couple days before. And so there was a dude there from Lincoln Park who survived one of the towers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he said he was in a staircase, and when they started falling, he was just on a piece of concrete wall that had fallen in, and he just rode that piece of concrete down. He was pretty messed up from it.
Oh,
but he
you'd have to
survived,
be,
and
yeah.
he got to come and tell. He tells that story now for 18 years, and man,
There's a teacher in the district that I work in, and he became a teacher after that day because he was in the tower investment banking. And afterwards he was like, this is not what I want to do with my life. I
Right.
have a whole new perspective.
Wow.
yeah, if anything, that would definitely change the way you looked at things.
And I mean, you have so many heroic stories of the firefighters pulling month nonstop shifts,
Yeah,
sleeping, and then you have celebrities like Dennis Leary, who's still fundraising and doing charity events for him.
John Stewart, what he just
And-
did.
oh,
for
yeah.
him,
And I mean, Leary started that that show,
Yeah.
Rescue Me.
Rescue Me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was it was a show, a comedy, and that, but it was to show how hard the job was, and trying
What they dealt with, too, yeah.
realistically.
Because it started right after, so in the storyline, it was how they were dealing after.
Yeah.
Didn't you have, I think Steve Buscemi went and worked for like 3 days straight or something.
That was one of the...
Gary Sinise was down there working.
Oh, yeah.
One of the biggest stories that didn't get a lot of attention was Steve Buscemi, before he started acting, was a New York firefighter.
Right.
And he went out of his way to go back and volunteer and help. And like you said earlier, they were just working as long as they can, taking little naps, going back to work. He didn't look at it as like, oh, look what I'm doing to volunteer. He was like, no, it's my job.
Right. I saw today on the internet that 19 kids of firefighters who died on 9/11 became firefighters for New York.
Really?
I don't know if it was exactly today or whatever, but 19's a big number, for firefighters. I don't know how many per house. What would you guess? 10, 12? I don't know how big a firehouse crew
it depends
is.
on how many shifts like they got.
Right. New York's a big
rotations
fucking place, too, so I'm
yeah.
sure they got fire stations every couple blocks. How the hell they get fire trucks through them city streets, I wonder.
Not easily.
No.
I was on Reddit and scrolling, not looking for stories based on 9/11, just...
There was a ton on there
But,
anyway,
yeah.
just because of...
And the one that really popped out to me was the one that there was a CNI dog, guide dog, that led a blind man down 78 flights of stairs to exit the tower after it got hit.
Wow. Now, how the hell they pull that off in the chaos of all those people running down
That's
the
crazy.
down
Yeah.
the steps?
And then following that story, went into them talking about a bunch. There was so many trained canine that were helping not only find afterwards, but getting people
looking for
out.
survivors, but they kept finding they wouldn't find any survivors, just dead bodies, and the dogs got really depressed because that's their job, is to find a survivor.
Right.
So some of the firefighters would like bury themselves a little bit in the rubble so the dogs could find them to make it like, oh, I'm doing my job.
Yeah, lift their spirits a little bit, right?
Because they can die of depression. It's like, holy shit.
It's still hard to believe it's been 18 years.
Really is.
I know every year that it goes past, you think about it. Oh, it was 6 years. Oh, it was 11 years. The different numbers. 18. 20 is going to be probably really impactful because it's 20 years. But
Right. And a lot of it is, especially with social media, seeing the imagery people are able to create of just the breathtaking of either the towers that are, kind of ghostly put in there, or just the different ways they can artistically show that moment is amazing.
Yeah. What do you ever listen to the recordings from Flight 93, the one that went down in Pennsylvania? No.
I did when it first came out,
Yeah.
but
Right.
after that I had no interest.
Right.
As in, I didn't want to relive that.
Right. So, well, a couple of the phone calls are kind of positive in a very negative situation, to hear what these people were thinking
At the time.
at that moment, going through that thing. Kind of brings a little perspective to that part of it, but it's not like I'm playing them on repeat or anything.
No.
There's just so much too, and then we're not going to get into all the conspiracies surrounding that event, but that could take... You could get lost in a week worth of rabbit hole videos
Easily.
and conspiracy theories and different things that surround it. The report, what was that, 2 years I think it took them or something to finish that. It was like 700 and some thousand pages or whatever.
4 phone books stacked on each
Right.
other.
All the things that have happened since then. What really trips me out is having kids since then.
Right.
Like my oldest it was 6 years before we had our first kid. And to think now, he asked the wife earlier today, is it bad that he doesn't know enough about it to think about, like it didn't impact him like it does us. Which,
Right.
no, hell no, it's not bad.
No, not at all. It's probably how our parents felt about the Kennedy, like him being assassinated. I hate to keep comparing to that, but them being those impactful moments, they would talk about it with such emotion and feeling. We're like, yeah, I saw the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, though, what year was Kennedy? Is that 63?
I want to say that's close.
I think it was 63 because it was either the election year was 62 or 64. You know, like it was right somewhere in there. But my parents were only a year old when that shit happened. So they you would have to pick something between Kennedy and 9/11 for like my parents because they were young when they had me. So
Right.
But yeah, I'm trying to think like what would be the event for them. Probably the moon landing. They were
was
about
1963.
10. Okay. Something, which just because it was on TV, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like 6 years went past before, and now I have kids, and what are they gonna know about it growing up?
True.
Is it on me?
Yeah, sounds
would
like
say
it's
at
just
first,
a documentary in school that they. I didn't even think about looking into textbooks. It's not like the kids bring home textbooks anymore. They
No,
even
not
check.
really. No.
I mean, even mine in high school, like they bring home notes and different stuff.
And a lot of the time, at most, they have that website you can log in to track their progress.
Right.
But even that, it doesn't really tell you a
it
whole
just says
lot.
assignment names. Most it's assignment 1, date, whatever.
I could imagine something like 9/11 happening when we were 6th graders or 5th graders, right? Or let's say we're 4th graders and the next year at school for 9/11, it's basically the beginning of the school year, a worksheet, right? They give you a worksheet with questions about the event.
Do they still do worksheets? Sheets and that?
Yeah, they do, but I just can't imagine that this would be a topic that they would.
No, not that early, I don't think.
And I wonder why. I mean, it's such a big part of our history now.
Well, that's kind of hard to explain to the younger kids, though.
See, like when we were in high school, a lot of the current events, like things that related to that, we watched first hour it'd be like
Channel 1.
Yeah, that news,
and
you'd get some about like Bosnia. I know was a big thing there.
Desert Storm.
You had the gangs out in California. The
Actually,
Crips
Desert
and
Storm
Bloods.
was a little bit earlier than that, but
But like the aftermath.
Yeah.
That stuff, and that's how you got it. It would, and it lagged. Textbooks lag behind so quite a ways for current events.
True. Like some of them might tap into a little bit of the Cold War stuff, but even that might be the extent.
No, I mean they go up, but they're still 2 to 4 years behind current, and a lot of the stuff that you're trying to report history on isn't history because it's still within the last 10 years. So you don't know the causes and effects.
Plus, a subject like that would be kind of hard to break down for students because there's a lot involved in that.
Yeah.
It wasn't just planes hitting buildings. You know what I mean? There was levels of information that surrounded that whole event in different ways, not just the conspiracy ways, but actual facts. The pictures are rough. I watched a couple videos today just
it's hard
because
to watch
they
the
hit the
videos.
feed, It's rough, but part of me was like, don't hit stop. You got to watch this because remember where you were and what's happened since then and just life the way it is. It was fitting that we recorded 100 on 9/11. I don't know, it feels kind of
Right.
But we did come up with something pretty cool a couple of weeks ago that we have yet to share on the show.
This is true.
And it goes along very, very well with 9/11 and the patriotic vibe that some people get this time of year. Now, in 2001, the day after 9/11, the whole fucking country was hand in hand.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was handing each other little
Flags
fucking
flying,
flags and sharing cookies with your neighbor. It was great. That's probably where we should aim to get on a daily basis. And not to, I know a lot of people don't like him now, but Giuliani handled that shit
He handled
pretty
it
well for a mayor of such a
how,
large city.
How can you
and
handle that situation?
Exactly.
There's no, all right, protocol B. No, it's just, you got to get out there.
Right? I don't know that I would say the same thing about George Bush.
Well,
He did what he needed to do as the president, but I wouldn't say he handled it as well as the mayor of New York.
And that was a countrywide feeling, too, at the time.
Right. Okay. So back to
Anyway,
our little gift here.
We did. Corner House Chronicles received a present recently.
You got the good tones here. I'm going to let you go ahead.
What are we looking at?
So, this is from the United States Air Force. This American flag was flown in the skies of Afghanistan on a combat mission aboard the legendary A-10C Warthog, assigned to the 107th Expeditionary Fighter Squadron, Kandahar Air Base, Afghanistan. Operation Freedom Sentinel, flown in honor of Corner House Chronicles. Armed Overwatch of Coalition Forces. Pilot Brian Smat Davis. Pilots have weird nicknames.
Yeah.
And it often made me wonder, can one pilot only hold a nickname? Say, like, you had the nickname of, like, Ace.
Yeah.
Right? But there's already, like, Jimmy Ace Johansson, who's, like...
How long did the guy get to keep Maverick?
Yeah,
or
right.
Iceman?
So, like, you're going in,
How
like...
much did friends make fun of him?
Yeah, everyone calls him fucking Ace, and they're like, all right, your new nickname's Spot. And you're like, fuck. Now he's stuck with Spot. Can you trade up? Always wondered about that.
Maybe it's however many missions you complete or something.
But this was a wonderful gift.
Yes, this was gifted to us by our good friend, longtime friend of the family, friend of the show. I'm guessing SS is Staff Sergeant.
That's what I
I'm
would
going to
say.
guess Staff
That's a solid
Sergeant
guess.
Aaron Johnson. We thank you, sir. And he was able to do this for a few flags. I don't know how long that flag was actually on the plane, but it was on there at least once. So that's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
Got the official certificate, all the paperwork that goes with it. Beautiful folded up flag.
We're going to get it framed. Nice frame.
It's a game plan.
Absolutely. And it's too bad he couldn't be on. I know he wanted to. But congratulations on your pending marriage.
Yes. And thank you, man. That was very nice of you. We appreciated it. Very
Very.
thoughtful. And shout out to the pilot, Brian Smat Davis.
We didn't have any knowledge of this, right? It just showed up.
Yep. It was delivered here by Dave, another friend of the show, who also received a flag. He brought it over and surprised us with it. It was pretty cool.
That's badass.
We've been holding on to it for a week or so now.
Sitting on it, waiting for the right moment. We
Yep.
thought episode 100.
Do you ever think you'd have something like that?
No.
Not,
Definitely not gifted.
yeah, I would maybe like a family member or
Right.
something, handed down, but never.
Like an heirloom.
Yeah, which I don't think I have any. Do we? I mean, there's a lot of us cousins, and
Yeah.
we've had a few family members serve, so I'm sure there's some things floating around somewhere, but
I'm
I
sure.
don't personally have anything that I know of. Not as cool as this, anyway. No, I'm just
Right.
kidding. I wonder, too, like, how they get the flag to stay on the side of the plane going that fast. I wonder, like, is there some kind of, sheath? Not sheath. What? I'm trying to think of the word, like a card protector, a piece of plastic, like, on the plane. They put the flag in it, How else would you, that plane's got to be going.
True. No. Best I could think is like crack a window, slide it out, shut the window on it, but that's probably dangerous. I don't know.
I guess if it's not by any propellers or engines, it should be all right.
Yeah.
Propellers.
What did I say?
You said propellers.
Oh, it has it.
Yeah. Some of them big army jets.
Oh, like
have-
Yeah, the big
yeah,
ones,
the
yeah.
transports. And I was picturing a fighter jet when you were like, just open the window, hang it out.
Yeah. Well, they would do it before, not like during.
Like, all right, Maverick.
Definitely really cool, though. Wonder what else them soldiers get to bring home and do. Like they get to do the flags, okay?
Not as much as past generations or
Right.
past generations.
Right, because they used to get, well, they probably still get to keep their guns, right? Think so? Or no?
I don't believe so now.
No. Okay. Bullet casings, I'm sure they could scoop a handful up and put them in their pocket and hold on to them. That wouldn't be a big deal.
I'm pretty sure, like, you could attempt to bring stuff back, but
No guarantees.
they will be audited,
Yeah.
your bags and that, and if it's something might be taken out.
I'd probably want to bring like a jar full of sand just because you're on the other side of the world,
Yeah.
at least in that area. So, yeah, for episode 100, that was what we wanted to do, at least with the first half of our show. We wanted to talk about our dedicated flag in the name of our show, which is really awesome. And we wanted to, I don't want to use the word celebrate, but we wanted to pay tribute because we're recording on 9/11 and to all the people that were affected in any way, shape, or form by what happened that day 18 years ago. It's crazy to think about, man. I'll
It
tell you.
really is.
And you could go literally months and not think about that unless, like, you're scrolling through Facebook and somebody posts a picture, right? Never forget. They'll do it at random times. It happens. But obviously the last day and a half, next day and a half, it's going to be very heavy on
Very
everybody's
fresh, yeah.
feed and, You're going to start seeing things that maybe you didn't see. But either way, don't forget it, folks. You all right there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's not an easy thing to transition off of.
Not really.
No, but I thought about a way to do it. The other thing we wanted to do for this episode 100, because, again, we had so many different ideas of how to celebrate this part of our experience as a podcast with you, the listeners, those of you still around.
Right.
Which that's kind of the transition here. We've noticed that the numbers in listenership dropped off. Now, granted, it's summertime, so that happens, at least with those of our listeners around us, But we've been throwing around ideas on how to change things up, how to maybe spice the show up a little bit or take it in a different direction, things we've been doing, maybe things we want to do, stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and break that plan down for you real quick without being boring about it.
Hopefully it's not boring. I mean, if it is boring, then that just might tell us where we're heading.
Might backfire a little bit on us. No. One of the things that we have been doing since day one was the beer.
Yeah.
Yep.
We kind of made it a part of the show without meaning to. I don't know. That was never really our goal, right? Obviously.
No, it was...
It's just something we did.
Yeah, I mean, when we started, we didn't have high expectations for the podcast. We really didn't think we were going to succeed. We didn't think we were going to get past 10 episodes.
Let alone 100.
Right, and it was something for us to get together, try something new, have a good time. It was away from the kids, have a few beers, talk, have a good time.
Just see where it would lead.
Yeah.
Which it has led to very good things.
That it has.
Right. We've all had new experiences. We've had some fun. It's been great.
Been able to help people out.
That being said, this is my last episode. I'm kidding.
Good night. Good luck.
So the tough thing about the beer we discovered through many conversations was that it is extremely niche.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a hole in the wall as in regards to podcasting, right?
Yes.
People that go to podcasts to listen for stuff about beer, any kind of beer, craft beer, whatever, that's what they want to hear. The
A show dedicated to that subject.
Which shout out to
Matt.
Shout out to Matt. The name of the show was
That he's affiliated to.
Better on Draft.
Better on Draft. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was a tough one.
That is a podcast specifically about craft beer.
Absolutely.
Right?
Locally in Michigan.
Locally in
Yes.
Michigan. They get together, they talk about beer. We kind of figured that it's hard to...
Have just like a 10-minute segment.
Right. It's basically us and our uneducated craft beer taste buds.
This tastes like grapefruit.
Right.
This one also tastes like grapefruit. Turns out it's the hops.
I think the big thing that we ran into challenge was when we first got into it. It was unlimited potential with the beer because we don't drink craft beer.
No, that was new.
So it gave us something to have a buffer to talk about. It gave us something to anchor the show, so to speak, roughly, because we were just covering whatever we wanted. We covered a live MMA fight. We covered, sports, and then dipped out of that into news and to a ton of different things. And basically, the direction of the show has been kind of like herding cats. You never know which way it's going to turn.
Absolutely. Good way of putting it.
And that has been a challenge not only for us, but we found out for the listeners. They like one episode, come back, and it's like a different episode.
Yeah.
Because we don't, there wasn't there's consistency in that it was a, lack of a better term, variety show.
I was just going to
kinda.
say a variety hour. So,
Right.
Basically.
I mean, you sometimes you get movies, sometimes you get music, brackets, Florida Man. We were
aliens.
all over the place.
Interdimensional Sasquatch.
We've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And we also talked about the idea of being kind of that variety talk show, like, for example, Inspiration, Drew and Mike, their podcast. They do a lot of local shit.
Yep.
Very current, up to date. They're working on computers with Wi-Fi and printers and stories. And, they're very professional would be the best way to put it, whereas we're still sitting back in the amateur section.
Yeah.
So the main thing, I guess, for us that we discovered talking about it was that it's very hard to promote this. It's very hard to achieve a new listener reach.
And give the current listeners what they want to listen to.
Yes.
And we don't get a lot of interaction via email or social media or anything. And I get it. We get it. We understand that. But it's hard to know what the listener base we have wants to hear.
Especially if it's constantly changing. If we have, say, 100 people listen at any given podcast, just for a nice, easy number.
Right.
There could be 500 people that are actually listeners, but only a fifth of them listen to this episode because it has topics they like. Whereas next one, some rotate out, some rotate in, and there's no consistency from us to the listeners, so it's tough to have the listener consistency back.
And, yeah, like I said, it's hard to promote that.
And prep for it.
And prep for it.
I mean, seriously, because you can come, like I've came in some episodes with a ton of stuff, and we never gotten that arena near it. I'm like, well, all right,
it was
10
impressive when
stories
you
gone.
did that. Well, here you go. I got this.
I've had that almost every show. But one show, it hit to where, all right, everything's spot on. I finally guessed, the lucky lotto number, chose the right door. Let's roll with it.
You sat in the right open seat this time, right?
Right. So it was difficult to coordinate, especially if I came, like, sometimes you guys would have stories, I'd show up and I'd have stories that are not even related to it, and it's like a complete change of subject, and it's like, well, that'll go over there.
Yeah.
Let's just join in. And
now, sometimes those conversations are the best. They're often very fun to have. You never know which door you're going to go through, which corner you're going to go around, which block you're going to stumble
down.
right? Yeah. And we like that.
It's fun.
But without a starting point, it's hard to have everybody on that page.
Yeah. And we talked about the starting point would be the beer, because it was always the foundation point of our show. That was the one thing that didn't change. But anybody that tunes in for craft beer tunes back out 10 minutes later. They have no idea how fun the rest of the show is because they only wanted to hear beer. So,
or people that don't care about the beer, that are just here for listen to whatever other topics.
See where we stumble.
Right.
They're like, is this a paid commercial?
We can only hope they fast forwarded instead of just didn't listen, right? And again, according to our numbers, because we can see those, it appears that they might not be listening. And while we enjoy doing this for fun, there's a level of we'd like to maybe get to a spot of making some money, or
who doesn't want to get paid for something they like doing?
Right, and just being able to reach a bigger listener base is kind of a cool feeling. So
watching something
aiming
you created
for that.
grow is always a nice thing.
Yeah. Okay, so all that being said,
he's going to explain why we decided on sports betting.
All right.
Yeah.
No, what I was going to do is
ESPN 8, The Ocho.
Really quick, I guess this may...
We doing a guy Thursday nights.
That's kind of where I'm going. Because this might be new listeners that don't know anything about us, just tuning in because they see it's episode 100 and they're happy for us.
We appreciate that.
We have, like we said a couple minutes ago, we have other ventures now because this podcast opened those doors.
Yeah, brought in other people that got the bug.
Pretty much, yeah.
And it's not hard to do, right? Every guest we've had come over.
At first, they're always nervous, and at the end, they're like, yeah, when can I come back?
Right, I might want to start my own.
Yeah.
We've had
people contact us, like, so what do I need to do? We've had people sit in.
I don't think we've had anybody not have a good time. So that's a good thing.
That's always a bonus.
Right. Yeah. We at least have a cool atmosphere, a very comfortable spot, I'll say. So that led us to all these other different ventures. We got Hero Clicks, we got other podcasts, we got a media company we're working on now. Things are brewing for us, which is good, but those other things are kind of taking like a variety. At least the other podcast is taking a variety approach, right?
Tone, yeah.
So we wanted to kind of take this one in a different direction.
True.
Long story short. Sorry.
Right.
And we had a conversation the other day, the three of us. I don't think any of us planned for that conversation to end up the way it did.
Much like our podcast.
Right, true.
They go in interesting directions.
But the one thing that we decided was we had a lot of fun our last show, starting with that movie, American Psycho, and that took us literally a half hour through a pretty good conversation about a bunch of different things.
Ending up comparing John Travolta versus Tom Cruise like total box office. Who has more money? Who's brought in the bigger? And it's like, oh, we got there from American Psycho.
And on a side note, when you looked at the top grossing box office for actors,
Yeah.
did you see how many ahead of Tom Cruise were Avengers?
I did.
Yes. So that had a lot to do with
I think
how
Tom
he got
Hanks
bumped.
is the only one who isn't.
That had a lot to do why he got bumped down there.
Yeah.
And he hasn't done a big movie in quite some time, has he?
Who?
Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise.
Michigan
Yeah, Michigan Impossible.
Michigan Impossible, man. Fix the damn roads.
That would be a good, that'd be a solid little parody video.
Pothole too deep.
He comes flying down on them little ropes.
Oh, I just seen that they're starting to, or the next installment of Mission Impossible just got greenlit.
Oh,
So there's going to be another one.
Two.
Two?
Two.
Excuse me. My apologies. False information there.
Yeah, two.
Is Tom Cruise in them too?
Oh, of course.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're talking. There's rumors about a new Bond character, but it's gonna be a chick this time. So I didn't know if maybe Mission Impossible was gonna do that. I don't know.
I
Who
think
knows?
he's carrying in that form, but not to get off topic.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
So we had a lot of fun with that. So we talked and we decided what we wanted to do going forward was pick a movie, right? Or
Yep.
maybe a TV show or a Netflix series or something along those lines. And we're going to start with that
That'll be the focal point.
as the, how do we talk? Was it like a book report? Not a book report.
But like those idea bubbles, the spider webs.
There
You
you
start
go.
with the main one, and then it'll jot off into a new topic that's connected to it based off that. Because we have a tendency, as you just heard, to stumble down the block. Just how it works. So we'll start with, let's say, a movie, and then we'll come in and be like, all right, so the soundtrack to this movie had this band, but he also did the soundtrack for the competing movie, and then we'll just see where the spiderweb leads.
Yeah, and every movie has actors and actresses, so
Oh, yeah.
those can take different side streets in the conversation. And
There might be interesting stories we find based off those movies.
right,
Some continuity issues.
I hate.
I know that's one of your favorites.
Yeah, I
So
seen a couple the other day. Seen one on Reddit today. They were showing Terminator 2.
Oh, the nurse that goes
The-
flying into the window?
Yeah, yeah. Starts off as a.
He threw him so hard he changed colors.
So, I don't know what the attendant or what they're called in a psychiatric ward, but yeah. So Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator like picks him up, African American gentleman, throws him into a window, and when he hits the window, he turns into a white guy.
That's how much he was scared.
But it happened so fast, I never even noticed it until it was pointed out to me.
most of the time, that's probably how it happens, right?
Some of them.
It either gets pointed out later by a person, or you read it somewhere, and then you have to go back and watch it for yourself. Son of a bitch! Remember earlier we were talking about Bill Burr's new special?
Yeah.
When he knocks the mic stand over and the
Yeah.
piece falls off, and he picks it up. And he's like, "Goddamn continuity!" And he's screwing it back on there.
Got to be the same for both shows. Where'd you get this piece of shit mic stand anyways? You know, there's some mic stand guy in the back like, fucking that's an expensive mic stand, Bill.
But yeah, so I think this idea is going to work.
It'll
I
be
think it'll
fun.
pretty cool.
We had fun with it the other day.
Right.
So I think it'll be interesting going
I
forward.
think a lot of the best conversational, at least I guess the highest probability of having a interesting conversation always stemmed around a movie of some
Usually.
sorts. An actor, a movie, a theory, continuity, soundtrack, any of that then got talking into fan theories, into making your own movies, who would you cast, and spin-offs, and all the other stuff that comes along with it. So it just kind of felt natural that since that was one of the most common things, not 100% through all the shows, but it was in a bulk of the modern shows.
Stumbling down the block on topics is definitely a cornerstone.
Yes. And the other thing, too, is we're still going to have guests in.
Yep.
And I would like to say when we have a guest that's been here before or doesn't have something specific to promote, talk about, whatever, then we keep it this format and we just bring them in on the conversation. If it's a new guest and they have something specific, we can get to that either before or after.
Yeah.
And they can still be a part of the conversation because everybody watches movies more than I do. So,
Right?
which brings me to this point. I will now be watching more movies because that's going to be the key to the show now, at least the starting point, the jump off, as we're going to call it. Now, we discussed new movies, old movies. I think anything really goes, right?
Yeah.
We should be all right with that.
Oh, yeah.
I was surprised when you decided The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance would be the first movie.
Well, I like that movie. Whatever, man. That's how I spend Saturdays. I don't know how, we haven't really decided how we're going to pick. But what we're going to do is pick going forward ahead of our schedule. So that way we can do some research. We can
be able to watch it.
Bring talking points to the show. Like you said, it'd be easier for prep.
Yep.
Than what we were doing.
And we're going to plan out the first couple.
Right.
Obviously. But if listeners want to submit one, we'll be more than happy to throw that right in.
This is another part of where we're taking the show. We feel it might be a little easier to get listener interaction via social media or email, stuff like that. And it's going to be a little easier to promote our product because we will be able to find conversations, hashtags, different things surrounding the movie that we're talking about, and then we can let people know how we get to where we get in the conversation.
Absolutely.
And hopefully that's something that listeners who enjoy movies would like to hear.
Yeah.
And
you don't meet too many people who don't like movies.
No.
People like
at least some kind of movies, right?
Everyone has their niche. Action, horror, comedy.
And these conversations will definitely last longer than the 15 minutes we were going to be talking about the beer. So it's fitting. Now, that being said, if we decide we want to have a beer on the show that night, we can go to craft beer. We still got our shelf.
Oh, yeah.
We can still do that. It's just not going to be as front and center as it was.
True.
I thought we were going to go to Michigan Craft Popcorn now.
We could do that.
Strictly kettle corn. Artesian kettle corn.
What else were we talking about as far as the new format here? We're going to stick with our Funko picks, so hopefully anybody that follows us on social media enjoys those.
Yep.
They won't have beer in them now, but we're still going to go with those. It'll usually, if we can, be something relevant to the movie that we're talking about.
Or one of the stumblings.
Yeah.
Or the stumblings, or just a random character that happened to come from that conversation. The brackets are still going to be in play. We're still going to do that.
Because we like those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What else was it? There was something else that we were talking about the other day. I noticed you don't have your notebook.
It's in the car.
Okay.
It was raining pretty bad. I didn't want to bring it in.
Oh, man.
I can go grab it.
I know we talked about the posting schedule.
Yeah.
But that's really not.
Oh, yeah, that's what we were talking about. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I kind of trained off there for a second. The social media posts, what we're going to do is as soon as we finish recording the episode, we're going to take a picture of our little spider web.
Idea bubble, or I don't know what they're actually called.
There's got to be a name.
Yeah. We can name it.
Okay. Ooh.
How you doing?
I'm sitting over on this side of the table. But what we'll do is we'll take a picture of it with the name of the movie there or whatever that we started with, and then how we got to the very end, the outside bubbles.
So that way you'll get to see and hopefully be intrigued.
Yeah, a little teaser. See if you might want to listen.
Try and fill in those bubbles.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Like out a couple of them. Yeah.
So we're going to be looking for some groups on the internet now that we have to get into and spread the word. If anybody knows anything, drop us a line, please. Help us out. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We use hashtags and different things on Instagram that'll help. We're going to be changing the logo slightly.
New things will be coming.
Yep. I was telling you guys before we started recording that David Letterman show that's on Netflix where he just does one-on-one interviews with celebrities and different things. I was listening to Howard Stern's interview, and he said something really interesting to me was about how he would always kind of change little aspects of his show to keep it fresh, keep it new, new listeners and stuff. And when he went from his show to Sirius, well, not Sirius, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Sirius.
Okay. The directors and producers of his show were like, do whatever you want. There was literally no rules. They didn't give him any kind of guideline. And for him, the fun of his show on FM radio
was to dance on that line.
Was to go over that line as much as possible, and I'll pay the fines, whatever, right? So he had to adapt and change a little bit of what he was doing. And it kind of stuck with me because I don't know. It's not that we're stagnant,
No,
but
we got to update the product
it feels a little routine.
a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like we meet up, we do what we do, we each bring a couple of stories to the table, whether we talk about them or not,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And if we feel that way about it, you guys listening to us, we're not going to be putting off the most enthusiastic vibes.
Also, I think it'll be helpful picking the movies ahead of time because, let's say you, for example, Aaron, might want to come back over, right? And now you'll be able to look ahead. And
Right.
be like, hey, 4 episodes from now, I like this movie. I know some shit about this movie or whatever. You come over. It might be easier to get some guests in or on the phone because maybe they find out what movie we're doing. They want
Hey,
to talk
we're doing
about
Jurassic Park. What do you think?
Right.
In.
Jurassic Park. Did you see the most recent Jurassic Park, The Fallen Kingdom?
No.
Yeah.
So I watched it the other day because
Did you cry?
I had some time, and the movie's so. Right? It's it's all right, all the way up until like the last 15 minutes. Because the whole premise of the story is they're trying.
Spoiler alert.
Right. So they're trying to get the dinosaurs off the island because the volcano's going to erupt and run them extinct again.
Yeah.
And so they're people get sent in there under a mission. They're going to pick them up. They're going to save them, but instead they take them back and they start cloning them, and they merge a raptor with a T-Rex and all this shit, and they're auctioning them off to all these highest bidders and shit. And it's like, all right, just another cookie
Somebody got
cutter.
lazy at the end of
Yeah.
that script
Yeah.
writing session.
Up until the end, because at the end, all the dinosaurs get set free out of the house, that the little containment place that they're in the continental United States, and then you see them all start, like the pterodactyls are flying across the sky. You got brachiosauruses just walking down, trashing houses. You got Tyrannosaurus Rex at a zoo screaming at a lion just for symbolic. And I was like, wow, is that not the coolest post-apocalyptic movie?
Premise.
The next one, like people trying to survive.
A dinosaur outbreak?
Yeah.
Trademark.
Well,
How
I don't know if
fucking
we
cool
can
is that?
trademark
Just
that.
in case.
So I
I think
I
Jurassic Park
was
has
like,
that locked up.
fuck, I got to read those books because I know Jurassic Park's based off a book.
Right.
Two.
So
There's
so
2 books.
I call my mom because she knows all there is about that stuff.
Michael Crichton.
And I'm like, hey, and I go through and explain it all, and she's like, oh yeah, they ran out of his book stuff at like movie 3.
Yeah, he wrote the second book based off of the sequel pretty much of the movie.
They just keep
just because,
going.
like, oh, okay, I'll make another
And I'm
one.
like, so there's
The
no
first book is
there's no
great.
book to read about a post-apocalyptic trying to survive the dinosaurs. She's like, no.
Well, there might be, but
I'm
nothing
like,
popular.
I was so let down because that could be such a great movie.
It could be.
I just automatically thought of, see, I lost the name. Dino Riders. There
Right.
it is.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Fucking love that cartoon. We at the end when it shows like the Velociraptor over like Arizona somewhere,
Yeah.
like little suburb, and you're just like, oh, he's gonna fuck shit up.
Blue.
You're my boy, Blue.
Ooh, I wonder what would be more dangerous, like the dinosaurs or a Planet of the Apes style monkey takeover, chimpanzees and apes. And
Well, are you
different things.
implying that the dinosaurs are also gonna like evolve intellectually, start talking and?
No, they just step
No.
on you and eat you.
Well, not
No,
all of them.
and
There's small dinosaurs.
there is, but there's also very large dinosaurs.
yeah, that's
so
true.
that
You
one
imagine just
T-Rex
trying to-
is going to cover a lot of ground.
Or just chilling in your house, having to worry about it getting stepped on.
Yeah, that. You
Like-
know what would be great though? Being an insurance salesman. You're just like score. Rates just went up, baby.
This is the 3rd time this year your house has been stepped on. Yeah, your rates are going up,
So there's like Tornado Valley, and
hurricane.
there's T-Rex Valley.
Yeah.
right?
You ever see like the videos on YouTube? Like someone will be in their house and they'll like pan over to their porch and there's like a bear or a mountain lion. Like imagine like somebody you were clicking through and you turn it over and there's just a pack of velociraptors on the other side of the glass. And you're just like,
Just
well,
tapping on it.
Opening the door.
the handle's jiggling. You're
You're
like,
like,
I'm fucked.
I've seen this movie once.
Now instead of what would you call animal control?
Probably not, no.
No.
I'd be on the horn with whoever has the button. There's a fucking T-Rex walking down my street. Somebody better do some shit. You got a tranquilizer strong enough to knock that thing out.
Stand still, Larry.
I would try to maybe like run towards a farm,
Yeah.
right? Maybe hope like a cow or something distracts it. because it's not moving as quick as I am. And I'm
I don't
in
know.
a
Cows are
zigzag
pretty
pattern.
fast.
Yeah, but that cow ain't running like zigzags like I am.
You don't know.
That's true. You're absolutely right. I don't know.
You might be very surprised and very disappointed.
I've seen him sleep standing up, but never run zigzag patterns across the field. So we'll see.
They're sprinters. Just like that, we stumbled around.
I was going to say, that's just a little tease of how this is going to go from now on.
Yeah, that's pretty much a sample.
Mm-hmm. It won't be Jurassic Park next time, that's all.
I was
Or
so
will
let
it?
down.
I can imagine. Yeah, that would hurt some feelings.
It would.
I guess it could be on you to try and write that story if you really wanted to.
Before the movie comes out.
Might be a little easier than being bummed about not being able to read it.
I'm sure
2 years
they're
starts
working
now.
on another Jurassic Park. It's
Oh,
like one of
yeah.
those series
Yeah.
that just won't end.
They
If
like
they're-
money.
If they're putting out 2 more Mission Impossibles, I'm sure
yeah.
another Jurassic Park's on the way.
It's all we
Is-
get, sequels.
Is that shit all CGI, or do they still use like the
Real dinosaurs?
the-
No.
Not real live dinosaurs, but you know the traveling dinosaur exhibit. I mean, fuck, they got them raptors. and
animatronic?
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah,
They still use some of it.
Some of it, not
Yeah.
as much as they did for the original,
probably not the bigger dinosaurs.
because
right?
CGI is so far advanced from that, and it's
Yeah.
a lot cheaper to do now, comparative.
Okay.
But the blending of two, that was the jumping off point for CGI, pretty much. Jurassic Park, the first Jurassic Park.
I will say one of my all-time favorite scenes in a movie, which has been made into so many memes, is when they're sitting at the table and he's like, "Look, nobody cares. Nobody cares."
Dotson?
My
We got Dotson.
favorite fucking scene all time of that movie, and a lot of movies. It beats a lot of scenes just for funny, you know.
My favorite meme to come out of that is, you crazy son of a bitch, you actually did it.
Mm-hmm.
That just posted on the bottom of something crazy.
There's a new one going around with Jerry Seinfeld wearing a Jurassic Park coat, right, with the logo on it, and it says, "When you realize 19 dinosaur embryos are gone and 3 cans of shaving cream are missing," and then it's him going, "Newman."
That's pretty solid.
Okay, so with that little
Teaser.
look behind the scenes of how this is going to go here moving forward, we need to reveal the movie we're going to do for 101, at least, so
That
that
might be helpful.
so our listeners can get ready for that conversation. Now, I was worried that it might deter people from listening because maybe they don't like the movie before, but we're going to run that risk, right? We're
Yeah,
gonna take that chance.
absolutely. Because
I
the
think that's
whole
a-
show isn't like a breakdown of the movie.
Yeah, we're
and-
not going to, like, live stream our
No.
views on each.
It will be talked about. It will be covered. The fun, interesting, the bad, all of that. But then it's going to go off into other stuff, and the other stuff is what-
Clearly.
right.
That's our bread and butter, baby.
So for episode 101, we're going to do The Crow. We're all big fans of that movie.
Classic.
We're big fans of the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
We're big fans of a lot of things involved in that. So, and there's a lot to talk about. I'm sure we've actually covered quite a bit of it in previous episodes at different spots, but this will be a little more fun because we'll see where it takes us.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Because we don't really know.
No.
And one piece of information for everyone: when we do a movie, we are not going to. We're going to try not to include the shitty sequels. So I doubt we're going to be talking about The Crow 3, City of Angels. Or
No, that was part 2, and it was actually a good movie.
Yeah, he
it really
likes that
was.
one.
And well,
Oh.
mainly because the Deftones
Deftones.
are in it, but
Aside from, all right, take that piece of the puzzle out. Dear God, man.
well, it wasn't though as good as the first one, and you know, but it was still an all-right movie. I thought.
Franchise died with
You could have
Brandon.
ended that
Oh,
story.
absolutely, yes.
Could have ended that sentence at, that movie isn't as good. Cut it off right there.
Well, we can say the same thing about Expendables 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Half the Fast and Furious movies probably didn't need to be made. You know,
Yeah.
you can do that. I just happened to, mainly because the
I didn't mean
Deftones
to-
were in it.
yeah, I didn't
That's
mean to
all.
hit a nerve there.
No,
I apologize.
The soundtrack actually is really good too. There's quite a few really good songs on the second Crow soundtrack. So we should probably stop because we're giving
Yeah,
away
we're-
101.
yeah,
It's
we're-
so hard not to talk about. So episode 101 is The Crow, and 102's City of Angels.
No, no, we just broke that one.
I don't think
down
they
and
put
then-
that on DVD or streaming.
No, I had it on VHS. Correction, I still have it.
Before the podcast, we've had this debate many times.
Many times. I'm not saying it's a world beater, excellent movie or anything, but I was a fan of it. just being a Crow fan. That's going to happen a lot, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to rag on each other more than we did before just because of movies we like. And
Oh, yeah. Or a movie you never seen and we enjoy, and you're just like, that was the dumbest piece of shit.
yeah, that's probably going to happen a couple of times. 'Cause
Oh, easy.
A bunch
Yeah.
of the movies will be my first time watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till he watches The Tooth Fairy.
With the
Oh,
rock.
with The Rock. Or
I'm sad I know that.
Suburban Commando.
I was just going to say, I was trying to think of the damn name of the movie. Suburban Commando with Hogan.
Dookie.
No Holds Barred would be kind of cool to break down.
that
one
would be.
wasn't bad, but I haven't seen it in a long
Me
time,
neither.
so I don't know if it holds up.
Ooh, there's a lot of stuff I could add for that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just watched a YouTube thing about they're going through a bunch of wrestler like important events, Owen Hart's death,
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of things, and they got to the steroid use, and that was right around when No Hold Bars came out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we can go on a tangent on that, but
We'll save it for a future
yeah.
show.
But I would like to pose this question to Aaron and you.
Okay.
So let's not lock it down just yet, but we'll say in the future on the list, should we put Masters of the Universe, that quality film?
Only if we can play the honest trailer.
Well, for copyright reasons, I don't know if we'll be able to play the.
I'll
honest
reach
trailer.
out.
Would you mind?
Did you watch the honest trailer of Masters of the Universe?
When you say honest trailer, you mean like the
The guy
original?
that does he does the honest.
Oh, what?
Tra-
Yeah.
What
I
is-
think I've seen it.
Oh my goodness!
I think I've seen it. Where he talks about walking around in a loincloth in the city streets or something.
Yeah, we'll finally get to see Grayskull or the
Yeah.
city streets of L.A.
Yeah. I did watch that one.
What was the dwarf's name in there?
Oh, God.
Gandor? No.
Gandor?
Gandor.
Yeah.
Is it Gandor?
I want to say it's Gandor.
He had like 30 seconds of them all just going, Gandor, 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 Gandor. And you get to hear them say, Gandor, for hour.
So we get to see Orko. Nope. Does he do that for a lot of movies? Is that like his thing? Okay.
Yeah, they're great.
We should be able to play that. That's not the official trailer of the movie.
No, but that is that gentleman's property.
Yeah. Well,
We'll reach
maybe
out.
we can get him on the phone. We'll talk about it, right?
Yeah,
That'd be a
right.
cool show. I'm down to put it on the list. Absolutely. I don't see a problem with it.
I just know it's emotional in multiple ways for
Oh,
you.
it's such a letdown. You get to see.
It's like they redid Beastmaster with a different theme.
He's like, you get to see He-Man wield a sword to balance his gun hand.
That's good.
Oh, the honest trailer was way better than the movie.
That's probably true. Yes. Now I want to see more of his trailers. 'Cause
Oh, they're great.
they are. He does a
Oh.
quality job.
let's try to get him on the phone, and for a future, we'd definitely at least talk about that one, you
Right.
know?
Especially because then you could follow it up or you could do it and then try and do later. Because I know Kevin Smith is writing the new animated Masters of the
For,
Universe
Netflix.
for
Yeah.
Netflix
Yeah.
to follow up where the
Cartoon
series
left
left off.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to make that movie canon. He-Man was away for a couple months with a wonderful tan.
We'll probably stay tuned to our social media going forward. We'll post maybe 3 to 5 movies, or should we not do that in case anybody wants to make a suggestion?
We'll have multiple. We'll throw up we got a couple in the pipeline here,
Okay.
but we are open for suggestion.
We could go back to polls. Which one would you rather hear us talk about?
We go back to
That's true.
polls, or we can go and just keep putting out there for them to submit them,
Yeah,
and then that way
so we can get a list together.
we'll keep planning the ones that we're going to do, and then if they submit them, we'll credit who submitted it, and
maybe put it up in
bump
the
it up
line.
the list,
Yeah.
we'll bump it up the list. And if it's we'll reach out to them and say, hey, we're going to do it. Do you want to come on for 10 minutes? We'll give you a call,
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to be here physically. We can get you on the phone.
That's true.
and then that way the people that submit can actually call in and talk about it.
We got some fun stuff planned, folks.
I'm good with it.
A lot of options.
I don't know. We don't know if this is going to work or not, but we're hopeful.
Won't know until we try.
A little more hopeful than we were 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
at the same time, for any new listener who might be checking in with us for the first time or maybe haven't heard us in a while, we do have, like we said, other things now open.
Yeah, Open Seat Media website's up. It's running. You can find all of Guido and the Guys podcasts, our other podcasts there. You can find all Corner House Chronicles. We have some blogs that we're working out with some writers.
Yep.
That could be going up, and then spur of the moment, it seems like we may start a YouTube channel dedicated to HeroClix, a miniature game, a little nerdy, but
Miniature
we are
strategy
open
game.
up to all avenues.
Yeah.
And so that's something that a few of us do in our spare time, and we figured why not just add it to the repertoire.
We're going to bring you as much as we can, folks. Stick with us. I think that's about it for the night. What do you say?
We covered what we wanted to.
We don't have any fancy sound effects or anything for celebrating our 100th episode. We kept it pretty casual, pretty
Yeah, I know.
calm, you know.
Would have been a bad day for a bonfire.
Yeah.
Or 100 minutes of beer.
That would have been a rough one. Yeah. The Century Club.
Right in the middle of the week.
Yeah. I still wanted to do the poker thing. I think that would have been fun. Hell, we probably could have just played poker while we sat here and talked about what we did.
True.
But we didn't.
Or did we?
Maybe we'll play when we go off air.
Maybe. What time is it? Yeah. We got a little bit of time. So to all of our listeners, we want to say thank you very much. We appreciate everybody who stuck with us this far.
Or just came around
Or-
for part of the ride.
Right. Or if you left us for a little while and you're just checking back in because you wanted to help us celebrate 100, we appreciate that too. Anybody that's bought any merchandise, shout out to our Patreon family. We're going to try and beef that game up with a little bit of stuff, pictures, different things. Maybe some video. We don't know yet, but we're going to definitely start attacking our Patreon, putting way more content out there.
Yep.
So anybody who's interested in that, as low as $1 a month, you could be getting some maybe behind the scenes, maybe, we don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll have me playing HeroClix just so you guys can whoop my ass and laugh and make fun of me, and we'll put that on Patreon. Because I have no idea what's going on.
It's a complicated mess.
I know.
Yeah.
But you guys are good at it, so.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Keeps you thinking.
Yeah.
Well, some of us have won tournaments.
Ayo.
I'm
Shots
just
fired,
saying.
folks. Shots fired. Already.
That's all I'm saying.
Patreon. See, this
Both
is
just saying something. Mine just had more value.
what we're talking about.
100 episodes. It's a lot. A lot.
So until next time, we want to say thank you very much.
Keep on stumbling down the block.
We hope you join us.